Welcome to the show, everybody. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag, and it's wonderful. Yeah, that's right. Wonderful to have you along for the ride. We had a bit of a party this weekend. I mean that both personally and fanismly. Let's just say this. Jalen Carter, by all reports, comes back into practice and is just dominating. Just absolutely dominating. Tyler Steen somehow at the same time was certainly holding his ground at the right guard position. If I've learned anything from the early days of camp, it's that, Tyler Steen's going to be a right guard. And that's that, which is what we expected going into the, training camp and all that. Coming out of training camp, it's also what we expect. And that's the way everything seems to be shaping up right now for the right guard position. Surprise to nobody. But Kevin Patullo also saying that he likes where his offense is at right now. It carries a little bit more weight than it normally would for a first-time offensive coordinator, first-time play caller. It should be exactly where it's at right now, considering you're running it back with the cast of last year. So, yes. Also, things get a little chippy in practice. Saquon had a little bit of a chip on his shoulder for whatever reason during a you call it practice, as Kevin Patullo described it. And Jalen Carter talked about getting a little chippy with Saquon Barkley. And when it comes to Jalen Carter, they actually asked him to take on more of a vocal leadership role this year. Found it interesting because there are certain guys that just play the game with such dominance and such ferocity that I think the play does enough. But that man wants to talk too. Both trash talk on the field and also talk to get his teammates ramped up. We'll let you hear what he had to say about taking on more of that leadership role with the Eagles in the upcoming season. Also, when you talk about the real party, the Durantula himself provided the party in South Philadelphia 2 nights in his first weekend as a Philadelphia Philly. And man, it was awesome. I had seen the videos of Minnesota, of the Twins, and what Target Field out there, just all lit up with everybody's cell phone and all that stuff. I had heard the music, watched the entrance, the whole thing. I went, oh, yeah, that's really cool. And then I saw it. Then I watched it happen in our own ballpark in South Philadelphia. And this is what I did. The kids were going to bed Friday night, so they're up a little later than normal. And Leo's in bed already, and I hear Manuela upstairs. I hear Lil Toots. Excuse me. How dare I refer to her actual name? But I hear Lil Toots. She's in the bathroom brushing her teeth, and I see Durantula start. Right, I start to see him come into the game, and I'm watching it, and I'm halfway through his entrance. Which, by the way, his entrance was longer than the inning he pitched of 4 innings Friday night. And I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. Now, I don't try to push sports onto my children. I would like them to discover it for themselves. But if every once in a while I see something that's awesome, like a Kyle Schwarber 434-foot home run, I'll be like, hey, Manuel, get in here. Look at this. And I paused the TV. I called for her to come downstairs to the den where I'm watching the game. And she comes into the room and she goes, what? She throws her toothbrush. I was like, just watch this. And I rewound it to the beginning from his last pitch of the bullpen. And when T-Mac said, we're going to stay here, that was awesome too. Great job, NBC Sports Philly. So Lil Toots is in the room. She's looking at it and she's watching the TV and she's kind of like, what is this? What's going on here? And then the lights went out and then the cell phone lights came on and then the bong, the first bell tolled. And she goes, what? And then she just watched it, and this big smile came over. And then she started dancing. It was awesome. Sold. Fan. All right. That's one of the reasons she'll be a fan, I'm sure. But she absolutely loved it. So imagine all the kids across the Delaware Valley just drinking in that moment, how awesome it was. And then he throws nothing. First off, I was blown away by the fact that this guy, forget about throwing 100, forget about hitting triple digits. This guy's throwing 102. And I'm waiting for that 102 pitch, right? He throws 4 splitters, gets the save, just using 4 pitches. Phillies win game 1, which was awesome. Game 2, the Phillies lose in a disappointing supposed pitching matchup of Zach Wheeler versus Tarek Skubal. That doesn't go well for the Phillies, unfortunately. And so no Duran. And then Duran comes out last night and he pops them in at 103. Like 103.3. Like the fastest at Citizens Bank Park in the StatCast era. Absolutely insane. As far as he stole the show over the weekend. As great as Christopher Sanchez was for 8 innings, 8 scoreless innings, 84 pitches. And by the way, I 1,000,000% agree with Rob Thompson to not go for the complete game. He's got a complete game. Good for him. 8 scoreless innings. You got Jhoan Duran in that bullpen. You bring him out. Not just for the idea of everyone who gets to witness that, maybe a new audience gets to witness that entrance, but you get to slam the door closed. If I got a guy in that bullpen that I just traded for at the trade deadline, oh, you bet your arse I'm using him. And the Phillies used him. And he slammed the door. A 103 pitch up and in that got fouled away, and then a 103 pitch to end the ball game. I mean, electric is absolutely the word for this guy. Hey, we knew it when he came here. But to feel it while he's here is a different bag of nuts. It's wild. And I'm thinking back to the days of the Phillies trading for like Billy Wagner, and he 99 miles per hour, 99 miles per hour, 100 miles per hour, and everyone loses their mind. Did the people's heads just pop into the sky when he hit 103 at Citizens Bank Park? Because it certainly seemed like it. It seemed like that party. And it's so great to have that in Philly again. It's great to have it. And how about Bryce Harper, in-game interview on ESPN, talking about what Christopher Sanchez is doing, and then talking about Duran and what he brings to the table coming in in the 9th inning and all that. And he said, yeah, it feels like we really have a closer that we can really rely on down the stretch. I don't think we've had that since I've been here. And I'm like, Craig Kimbrell was like on fire. He was an all-star. And then after the all-star game that one year he was here, he was terrible. And then, of course, was terrible in the NLCS against the Diamondbacks. That was also terrible. But this is a totally different vibe, man. I thought a lot of us were pleasantly surprised about what Kimbrell gave you the first half of that season before the wheels fell off in the second. And in the playoffs. But Jhoan Duran is a totally different vibe. It is. I told people when they traded for him, I said, this is 90s baseball movie comedy type of stuff that this guy's going to bring in here. You're not going to believe it. And yeah, just absolutely blew everybody away at Citizens Bank Park, and more importantly, blew away members of the Detroit Tigers as he is 2 for 2 in save opportunities as a member of the Phillies. How about that? We'll get into the game itself. Yesterday's game, a little bit more coming up in a second, but it was just an absolute party. Also mentioned Little Toots personally. Yep, did have her 6th birthday party over the weekend. And between having my father-in-law for 2 weeks where I couldn't enjoy my espresso in the morning, and planning this party, and as the dad getting the backyard ready and all that stuff, my wife and I went to bed Saturday night, and I said, I feel like we just threw a wedding in our backyard. Like the exhaustion I feel. I might be getting one of them stupid summer colds. Come on. But the exhaustion I feel like we just planned a wedding in the backyard. That's how I feel right now. And she's like, that was a lot. Like 3 weeks of just nonstop having something to make sure you're on top of, aside from having 2 young kids on top of that. But anyway, but yeah, all was good. All smiles across the board. So that was good. But training camp throughout this weekend, a couple of great things. One was the quote from Lane Johnson, where he was talking about how you punch in as a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. It's like you don't punch in. You come to work. You do your job. You're not late. You get here early. You get your weight room session in. Basically, he was describing every box you have to check to be a real member of the Philadelphia Eagles. And the thing that I loved about his quote was, or his interview rather, was the fact that it really did lay it out there of everything that we expect from our athletes in the city of Philadelphia. And that's one of the things I really do find unique about Philadelphia. And there are other cities that do value what we value. I don't want this to get twisted like this is the only thing that makes us unique as a fan base. But we really do care about effort. It's not just about the end result. We care about effort. And this culture that the Philadelphia Eagles have created in Philadelphia is absolutely astounding. Every single new guy that comes in here, yeah, they might mention Saquon or Jalen. They might mention, coming into this year, what you have defensively, and Quentin Mitchell and Cooper DeJean also. But everybody talks about the culture in Philadelphia. So now one of the people that they're and Lane Johnson to highlight that, I think is a wonderful thing. But now one of the people that they're actually talking up as a leader to help embrace that or help advance that culture is their young, soon-to-be third-year player, defensive tackle, Jalen Carter. Let's just backtrack for a second. Eagles draft Jalen Carter, and people have questions about his mindset and mentality, character issues. They have questions. Some more skeptical than others, some more optimistic. But either way, the questions were out there surrounding Jalen Carter and how much he was going to take his talent seriously at the NFL level and whether or not he was going to be a distraction. Fast forward 2 years, 2 playoff appearances, a dominant season, a dominant playoff run, a Super Bowl championship, and a seamless transition from Fletcher Cox to Jalen Carter. And now, evidently, the Philadelphia Eagles are asking Jalen Carter to actually be more of a vocal leader on this defense. Here's Jalen Carter over the weekend talking about that conversation and his role with the Philadelphia Eagles now.
Yeah, I did it 2 years ago, but it was more quiet. 2 years ago, I was a rookie, so, they don't want to hear too much out of a rookie. When you're playing good, you're good, but, they told me that I was going to have to speak up a good amount. The players, coaches, everybody, and, it's that time. I ain't got to yell and have veins coming out my face, but I'm going to say something to try to get us all with the energy and stuff.
But what was your reaction to that when they first asked you to take on that bigger leadership role this offseason?
It wasn't really none. Like I say, most of my actions and to get the team together is during the game. I talk out here, like he said, he seen me run around when I wasn't practicing. I talk in the locker room. I talk to guys one-on-one, stuff like that. But, in the game, they know when I'm locked in. If I make a big play or anybody make a big play, we all just go celebrate each other.
Did you do that at Georgia?
Yeah, I did it at Georgia. He did. I'm listening to him give that answer, and I'm thinking about all the conversations that were had before the draft. And it's the same thing that gets said. If he takes it seriously, if he stays out of trouble, if he's focused, this guy could be really something great. I wouldn't have thought that in 2 years, the Philadelphia Eagles would be like, hey, could you talk up a little bit more? Could you speak up a little bit more? Could you go talk up that rookie over there? I wouldn't be expecting him to be another guy to try to put a quarter in the machine to Saquon Barkley either, as the two of them apparently had some words with each other yesterday in a friendly competition, according to Jalen Carter. I absolutely love this. But I'll also tell you this. As much as I love it, I don't need it. I don't need Jalen Carter to be some kind of vocal rah-rah guy. If it's there, it's great. If the coaches, front office, whatever, are looking at him to be more of that vocal leader, well, then okay, that he seems to be just fine with it. But I honestly, I don't need it. He's a dominant football player. And throughout his career at Georgia and to this point in the NFL, he just makes big plays. And taking down Matthew Stafford in the playoffs, that's going to speak louder than any rah-rah speech he could possibly give. But the fact that he is willing to embrace it just makes him that much more a valuable player to the Philadelphia Eagles. The wild thing for me, though, is to go back and think about all the questions when he was drafted and not only see what he has developed into to this point, just 2 years into his career, but also the leadership aspect of it. Willing to embrace it, willing to take guys under his wing, willing to be vocal. And he started off that answer by saying, yeah, he's done it before, but on the quieter side because no one wants to hear from a rookie. But you go out there, you do your job, then all of a sudden you start to gain that clout, and people go, okay, he's the real deal here. I should listen to this guy. And then you also think about the transition on defense away from Fletcher Cox to the young guys on this defensive line right now and what they can bring to the table as a whole, not just by making plays, but also the mindset aspect of it. Oh, this guy's giving 110%. I got to give 110%. Moro Jomo is out here fighting for a job. Now, how are you going to walk onto this defensive line and think, well, wait a minute, all right, I can just kind of mail it in today. When you got those two guys. Oh, you also got Jordan Davis dropping 26 pounds coming into this season, looking to just still throw bodies around, work on his technique and all that. That's a difficult place to be. You can't be the lazy guy on this defensive line. Oh, man. To use the words of my dear friend Trey Thomas, you got to show your ass. You're going to show your ass quick. And that's what you can't do that. You can't let other guys outwork you like that. And if a guy like Jalen Carter, who's already so dominant, and willing to take the next step as leader on this team, then yeah, that's not going to allow other guys to take their foot off the gas. So I love it. Don't need it. Just go out there and be you, man. It's also interesting that they asked going into last year Jalen Hurts to take on more of a vocal leadership role, because the question, or at least what was reported, Joe Santoliquito, if you remember, Joe Santoliquito, the guy that everyone owed an apology to rather quick about the Carson Wentz stuff, he came out with a story on Jalen Hurts that wasn't damning. It wasn't nearly as damning as the Carson Wentz piece. I read the Carson Wentz piece and went, "Ooh, this is awful." I read the Jalen Hurts piece and went, "Okay, seems like some fair critiques." And one of the critiques was that he would let A.J. Brown do a lot of that talking. But Jalen, going into the offseason a year and a half ago, I guess, said that, he wants to take more of that role. And it absolutely looked like he did, especially at the end of that Super Bowl where he's going around just bro-hugging everybody in the manner in which it wasn't so much the bro hug as much as it was what he said. Like comforting a guy like, I shouldn't say comforting, probably reassuring a guy like Devontae Smith, like, yeah, man, this is real. This is your hometown. You had a badass game right here. How awesome is that? And A.J. Brown, the conversations he was having with him and Saquon all the way through, it really is, wow. The step forward in the relationship between him and Nick Sirianni, how great's that? That's awesome. He wasn't a vocal guy, was more of a vocal guy last year. Jalen Carter, not much of a vocal guy last year, going to be more of a vocal guy this year. Again, I don't need it because I feel like his play does enough talking. And I think as a quarterback, you're kind of thrust into the role of being more of a talker. You got to communicate with these guys all the time. It's a little bit different when you're talking about a defensive tackle. But Jalen Carter welcoming it with open arms. I love the idea of playing in practice with a little bit of edge. As long as nobody get hurt, we're good. And the other thing that goes into this is this is probably going to be the last time, hopefully, because hopefully the safety position is not one of struggle throughout this season. Hopefully this is the last time I have to mention Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. But one of the things he talked about on his way out, even not on his way out, when he was out the door, he was like, oh, yeah, they don't want that competitor. They don't want that competitor on defense. What? So Jalen Carter's not a competitor? Jalen Carter won't talk trash? Jalen Carter won't make a big play? Oh, I think he's got just as much dog in him as Chauncey Gardner-Johnson does. I think Jalen Carter is a competitor. You're willing to put the quarter in the machine again of Saquon Barkley. Oh, yeah, I think I'd say at practice, I'd say you're a competitor. CJ was taking it a little too serious at practice tonight. Well, apparently Jalen Carter is doing the same thing. And that guy's about to get, if you'll allow me, his bag. His bag. That's what he's about to get. So I'm for it. 100% for it. As for some other things from Eagles practice, I am genuinely curious about this. I'm not worried about this offense. Let me stress. I'm not worried about this offense. I really do think that a 12-year-old that knows how to play Madden could do okay with this offense. And Kevin Patullo is more than that. So I feel even better, obviously. But Kevin Patullo, I am curious just about what he is bringing to the table. Last week, we heard words like up-tempo. We heard about throwing to the running backs a little bit more often. He actually had a really interesting quote about Will Shipley yesterday, a guy that's kind of gotten lost in the fold between Saquon, obviously, and then also A.J. Dillon coming in the offseason. But he mentioned Will Shipley and just said that he could be an impact player on so many different levels and all that. But overall, I just kind of want to know where the offense is at, because also last week we got the words from Cam Jurgens about, even though it turned out to be wrong about how far the defense was, that they're fully installed and all that. And Vic Fangio said, no, we got more for them. And I love that too. But I'm like, okay, how far behind is the offense? Because bottom line is, even if the defense isn't fully installed, which, yeah, it makes sense that it wouldn't be at this point, how far ahead is the defense than the offense? And we talk about it as something that's very common. Defense is usually checking more boxes at this point, even in the preseason and into the regular season, more so than an offense will. So where are they at exactly? So Kevin Patullo just got asked the very easy question with an easy explanation. Basically, how's it coming along? And I just want to make sure I have the intro to this question right. Overall, do you think things are coming together? That was the question. Here's Kevin Patullo answering
Well,
that.
I do, because we're doing a lot. We're putting the guys in a lot of stressful situations. We're challenging them a lot with formations and different things we're doing in concepts. So they've got to handle a lot each day. So, ultimately, the more we practice, the more that stuff will come down. But we've really pushed them to try to challenge their mental game and the physical side and putting it together on the field. And we're moving guys around a lot. So when you do that, that stuff can happen. The more we go, the more it'll come down, as we know. The more, once the whole offense we feel like is in a good spot, it'll shrink. So in practice, that stuff will all kind of calm down as we go.
It sounds like typical coach speak, but for a first-year coordinator, fifth play caller in 6 years, this matters to me. It's we're having some bumps, but we nothing we can't iron out before the season, anything like that. No, the fact that he's feeling good about where everything's at right now, mainly with him, I'm sure, more so than anybody else, makes me feel a little bit better about this offense. I just want to hear continuously encouraging things from Kevin Patullo ahead of their first preseason game on Thursday. Man, it's one of those things that you realize, but you don't really let it start to turn the wheels until somebody mentions it to you. And I was going to I've mentioned this restaurant before. They're not a sponsor, it's just a restaurant I really like in Philadelphia. Grand Cafe Lockwood. Okay, so I'm in there the other day. And one of my bartender friends there was like, yeah, you ready for Thursday? I was like, yeah, man, ready to go. Got the Bengals, gonna be interesting, whatever. And I'm just talking football, whatever. And then he just is like, wow, that was a really short off season. And I go, well, it beats the alternative, right? Long off season. And I thought about it, I was just like, this really did turn around quick. And that's, hey, look, the more football, obviously the better. The shorter the off season, obviously the better. But it really, I mean, just from what we're used to, unfortunately, it's, get right back on it. You lose a month potentially there of the new Kevin Patullo offense and the wrinkles he wants to throw in. You lose a month, as Jalen Hurts would talk about it, of off-season preparation, where you want to make sure you get maybe that vacation in, the family time down, maybe a little bit of more travel. And then you got to start the workout regimen and get back into the swing of things. Month behind it all. And here we are, right back at it. With hopefully the same short off season waiting for us in February. So or at least to begin at the middle of February. So look forward to that. Thursday night, 7:30, Cincinnati Bengals, South Philadelphia. And then Saturday, August 16th, 1 o'clock against the Browns. I believe that's the joint practice. And then the New York Jets. They're at the Jets because tradition. Tradition. All right, now let's talk about our friend.
My name is Jhoan Duran.
Jhoan Duran. And his Philadelphia Phillies. This series, the Tigers had been sputtering a little bit going into this series, but still one of the best teams in baseball, certainly best team in the American League. You know you're going to be facing their Cy Young candidate, their Cy Young Award winner, Tarek Skubal in this one. So I was looking forward to Saturday, as most of us were. I was looking forward to this series, and I was looking forward to seeing what the new additions did. All Harrison Bader really did was work a walk as part of a rally in Friday night's win over the Tigers, which was nice. But other than that, meh. The star of the weekend, without question, was Jhoan Duran. It is an absolute party at Citizens Bank Park when this guy comes into a game. In game 1, 4 pitches, see you later, didn't need a lot. In game 3 of this series, his second game, he comes in there, throws 12 pitches, 8 of them for strikes, throws 2 fastballs that just go over 103 miles per hour. A lot of life on his splitter, and he just makes the party well worth attending. And it also gets the crowd involved. The fact that you can influence, like you can help the party yourself by either turning on your cell phone, getting on your feet, you're losing your mind, the Durantula's going around the scoreboard there. By the way, when Little Toots did come down in the room to watch that, I thought I was going to lose her on the Durantula when it was going across the out-of-town scoreboard in right field. No, she was cool. She hung in there. She was like, oh, a spider. Like usually it's like, spider. This was, she liked it. But yeah, it's just such an awesome thing to have this and know you have it at the end of the game. And I still love the idea that his entrance was like 1 minute and 44 seconds, and the inning he pitched was like a minute. So, yeah, it's pretty awesome. All in all, the takeaway from this is I feel like we have a constant. We have 2 big constants that aren't good constants to have in Philadelphia, really in the sports world in general. Nobody wants these. I feel like in basketball, we look at Joel Embiid and we're like, oh my God, if this guy just stays, can this guy stay healthy? And if he stays healthy, is he going to be at the MVP level? And if Paul George stays healthy, what can this team do? Here's an unpopular opinion. I really like this Phillies team, but the constant, regardless of who they brought in, unfortunately, because Harrison Bader ain't it when it comes to a defensive shift. The constant is, I still like the pitching, even though Wheeler started to leak a little bit here. What if this team doesn't hit in the playoffs? Because we've seen it so often. And that's what is hanging over my head throughout this entire process. And as great as Jhoan Duran was in his first 2 games, as fun as that was, as electric as it was, you still got to be leading to have a closer come in. A closer is no fun if you can't use them. If you're down 3-2, your closer ain't coming in. So how do you make sure you have that lead? Well, Bryce Harper has been hot. Trey Turner has cooled off. Kyle Schwarber hit his 38th Schwarberian of a Schwarbomb last night. That was awesome to see. That ball just kept on going so much so that it fooled the cameraman. Come on, ESPN. Nick Castellanos going to go cold, swinging at low and away pitches. Alec Boehm going to come back and be okay, or we're going to have to go through another 1 for 24 slump before he really gets it going again. Bryson Stott, goodness gracious, robbed something terrible by Riley Green last night. One of 4 miraculous plays made in the outfield by the Tigers. One was by Perez in right field on a foul ball. Another was on Perez charging a ball as well. So, 3 great plays that took away hits, maybe extra base hits. One that took away an extra opportunity, at least, for Nick Castellanos, as one play was made in foul territory. But the ball that Green made, the play that Green made on Bryson Stott's ball into left center field, where him and old car shield himself, Matt Vierling, collided a wee bit in left center field on the great diving backhand catch by Green. Just not his season. Bryson Stott now, since April, has not hit better than 216 in any month. That's not great. Yes, phenomenal. Gold glove caliber play at second base. But this lineup needs to hit. And he ain't hitting. And when Bohm comes back, I'm sure it's going to be more of Sosa at second base and a platoon with Bryson Stott. But that is a huge concern. I am concerned, I think, like most of us, about the bats performing in the postseason. And I'm sure it's concerning for a lot of people as well to see where Zach Wheeler is at by the time the postseason rolls around. And if you're Rob Thompson and you're talking about how scared you are about complete games, and that means you're also scared about innings. You're scared about, how many bullets these guys have left by the time the playoffs roll around. So I'm all for Rob Thompson saying, all right, I know I got Jhoan Duran in the ninth inning. And I had this thought. And look, I don't think anything in sports will be more dominant than the tush push, okay? But I thought of the quote from Nick Sirianni, I think it was actually 2 years ago, when he was asked about the importance of a play like the tush push. And he said, well, it's great to know that you never have a 1st and 10. It's great to know that you'll always have a 1st and 9 or 1st and 8 with the tush push. And I'm like, that's pretty baller. That might be one of the greatest things he's ever said. That is not, iron sharpens iron. Can't be great without the greatness of others. What was the one? Do ordinary better. That's the one that we got this year. Do ordinary better. With Jhoan Duran, it feels like you only got to worry about 8 innings. So if your starter can get you the quality in 6, and you sweat it out for 7 or 8 of those. By the way, Jose Alvarado set to rejoin the team soon and then go away again. But knowing you have Jhoan Duran coming in there, Jhoan Duran coming in there in the 9th inning makes you feel like, oh, okay, you just got to worry about 8 of these innings. So if I get a starter that can give me 7, 2 of his last 4 starts, Jesus Luzardo has gone 7 scoreless. That's pretty damn good. So if I can just get one good outing from one of my bullpen arms and then just go to Jhoan Duran, I'm pretty set. So let's do that. That would be my play if I'm the Phillies. Also, another bullpen arm, by the way, David Robertson's going to be staying down in the minors for a little bit longer. Velocity was at 93, 94 miles per hour. Getting hit a little bit, giving up some runs. Want to see that settle down for a second before he comes up. So we'll see how all that plays out. But right now, knowing that you have really 8 innings to worry about is kind of a great feeling. That's kind of a great feeling. Kyle Schwarber, though, that home run that he hit in the 8th inning, sure, it was insurance and all that. But here's what was so amazing about that play. I think it was Holton that gave it. Yeah, Holton gave it up to him. It was a fastball up and away on an 0-2 count. And I'm sure in that moment, Kyle Schwarber is just thinking, all right, protect the plate, that kind of thing. He gets a fastball that was up and outside, and he barreled it. Like, not even, I shouldn't even say barreled. Like, it felt like it was off the end of the bat, is what it seemed like live. And then it's to dead center field, or I should say left center field, technically, like right over Monty's angle, right where Tom McCarthy caught that ball so famously some years ago. And it just kept going. Like, if somebody was checking out the new Wall of Fame placards, they had to look out because that's where that ball was going. 300, I think I have this right, 335 feet. 335 feet to center field. Gave the Phillies the insurance run. The only other run of the game they had last night on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball against Charlie Morton. Yes, I know he had great defense behind him, but oh my goodness. Couldn't take him for more than this. The only run they could get was a Max Kepler RBI ground out to second base in the 2nd inning of yesterday's game. And then there was no other offense until Kyle Schwarber stepped up in the 8th inning and belted that home run. Yeah, you'd certainly like to see the Phillies, hit a guy with a +5 ERA. a 41-year-old Charlie Morton. But all they got off him were 4 hits, the 1 run, 1 walk. He struck out 6. Not exactly the way you want to go. I mentioned to start the show, Christopher Sanchez went out there with 84 pitches. Phillies didn't go past 100 pitches on the night. 96 was the total between him and Duran combined. 84 pitches as well for Charlie Morton, but that was through just 6. And the Phillies couldn't get any more offense on him. Thank goodness gracious, Christopher Sanchez is amazing. Anyway, absolutely incredible weekend for your Phillies. Before we get to the chat check, let me tell you. Phillies, by the way, they now start a 3-game series with the Baltimore Orioles, who sold off some players, including the .229 hitting Cedric Mullins to the New York Mets, who, by the way, got spanked yesterday. So now the Phillies are a half game in first place again over them. So Phillies and Orioles for this week. Phillies are off Thursday, which is convenient because that's when the Eagles play. 6:45 start times Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday, 12:35 start time. It'll be Luzardo, Walker, and then Suarez getting those starts against them O's, hon. The O's, by the way, are 51-61 on the season. O's had a nice little run there of a 5-game winning streak, and then lost 3 of 4. That's the way that one goes. Hey, let me tell you about the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, and get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. Want to go to the game, the concert, the comedy show? Game Time app has you covered. And don't forget about Game Time Picks. The Game Time Picks features all you need, which is filtering out all the fluff. Gets you right down to it. The best seats at the best prices on the Game Time app. And how about this? For the concert or comedy show, tickets actually drop. The prices actually drop the closer you get to first pitch, showtime, kickoff, NFL season. On the Game Time app, you can save up to 60%. Not too bad. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. How about PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. Let's get into the chat check and see how you wonderful people are doing. Sean Gillespie, good morning. Hello. Sean Gillespie, brainwash the children early. Yeah, pretty much. Like, another instance of calling little toots in the room is, look how far he hit this home run. Because she'll hit baseballs in the backyard and stuff with me, and she likes that. And when I show her someone that can just absolutely bomb the ball out of the park, she's just like, wow, that kind of thing. Or a diving play, like Bryson Stott, that kind of thing. She loves it. Jeremy, good morning, everyone. What a great weekend and introduction to having a dominant closer. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. It's a whole lot of fun. Ken Sod, good morning. Good morning. God bless. Sean Gillespie, don't need Jalen to have a season. Very vocal podcast either. Wait, hold on. Oh, an in-season very vocal podcast. Yeah. I'm not bothered by players embracing their brand. Like, I've had conversations over the years with some people, and the term, it's not good for my brand, I know rubs a lot of people the wrong way, especially when it's in the context of putting myself in front of the team. But really, everybody's got a brand now. Anybody with a social media, literally, you don't have to be like a dedicated influencer, but that social media is your brand. That's you. You don't have to be making money off of it, but that's your brand. And the people that can make money off of it, good for them. But everyone's got a brand now. I don't mind, Exciting Mike's podcast with Reed Blankenship and Cooper DeJean. I don't mind Paul George canceling or going on hiatus from his podcast at the end of the season. I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's a problem, man. Keep talking. I don't care. Good for you. That to me is not an issue. I don't have any issue with that whatsoever. Jason Kelsey having a podcast, that didn't bother me at all. Good for these guys. Good for these guys. Any other way for them to make money other than football, I'm pretty good with. because maybe that'll mean like, oh, maybe I'll take a little. I'm making this much more money doing this. I'll stick around and do this. Or I know what I could do in the off season, so I don't have to worry about that last big paycheck, whatever. I got this. That's probably more far fetched than anything, but you know what I'm saying. Sean Gillespie's got show your ass blasted on my speakers at work. Thanks, Farzy. Sean Gillespie, why are you showing your ass? Sean, you're at work. Admitted, I am worried about the offense. Still scared about the 2023 season. Here's the warm hug I give people when I say, oh, 2023 and Brian Johnson, 2025 and Kevin Patullo. Here's the warm hug. Ready for the warm hug? Ready? Saquon Barkley. That's the warm hug. Hold on, let me bring the band in. The band hasn't been around for a while. Let me see if they still fired up. Hey guys, you wanna play? You guys wanna play? Yeah, I know you guys have been sleeping for like the last year, but you wanna give me something a little dreamy. Give me something a little. Okay. Barry. That's really good there on the keyboard. Thank you. Here we go. All right. Saquon Barkley. Feel better? I feel better. All right. Let's see. Where else? Sean, thank you. April. Good morning, April. That entrance was electric. I love it. Can't wait to see it in October. I mean, one of my favorite parts, I can't believe I didn't mention this. April, thank you. One of the things I absolutely loved from the Duran save, first save as a Philly, 4 pitches. It was great. He does the post-game interview. And they're like, hey, what was that like? And he goes, the last time I pitched like that, it was the playoffs. Like, not meaning like how he pitched, the atmosphere he was in the last time he did it was a bit. And it was just a Friday night in August, babe. And John Kruk didn't miss the beat. He goes, it's like that every night, friend. And it's, April, absolutely like a playoff atmosphere. Sean Gillespie, practice my lip reading skills now. What, could you not hear that? Oh, drat. Hardcore for all. Alvarado got suspended for 80 games, no pay. Yet baseball barely investigates Ohtani when his buddy is making bets with his money. Funny how that works out, isn't that? Hardcore for all. Funny how that works out. Thomas, what's up, little cousin? Thomas. Eagles offense still didn't look loose until Super Bowl. Sirianni was in a do-or-die situation most of the season. Feel like that defense, or definitely resulted in a conservative play not to lose scheme. Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I think a lot of that also came down to Jalen Hurts. I honestly think if I could crawl inside Jalen Hurts' brain and look around and be like, oh, that's what he's doing. The way I see him, the way I think it works out is, in his mind, he's like, I got these incredible weapons. I got a great offensive line. I have the ultimate fail-safe of fail-safes of Saquon Barkley right there. I just have to not turn the football over, and we win. That's pretty good. That's it. Just don't turn it over. Don't put the precious pigskin in peril. I think that's more on Jalen. And also, they did get way too run-dependent, last year. And it worked, don't get me wrong, 10-game winning streak and all that. But that word haunts me from last year, the word atrophied. The passing game atrophied. You get out of that Panthers game, and you got A.J. Brown saying how the passing game was off. You got Jalen Hurts saying the passing game was off. The passing game needs work. That's what A.J. Brown said. And then the reporter later in the week, I forget who it was. I don't even forget who it was. I didn't know who it was. I didn't recognize the voice. And I just heard the question, did the passing game kind of atrophy? And there's no way you can tell me it didn't. That's exactly what happened. So a way to keep that passing game, like again, my one request of Kevin Patullo is let me see the passing game get to the middle of the road. Like instead of rock bottom, let me get a middle of the road passing game. I don't need top. I don't want top. Just give me a middle of the road. Middle of the road. Last year in efficiency, great. Usage? Not so much. Expect a big passing year from Jay. Okay, well, Tommy, you and I are in the same boat there, friend, cousin. Sean Gillespie, hello. Danny, what's going on? Oh, you're laughing. You laughing? Danny, hope Eagles and Farzi have a great day. Thank you, Danny. By the way, are you Prado? Did you take off your last name? Tommy, my biggest concern about the offense is losing Becton. If you set an all-time rushing record, yeah, you definitely want the same. You do. However, I will say, Tommy, I said this in the top of the show. Here's one thing that I've learned. And I think most of us assumed it, but I don't look at a question mark anymore when I look at right guard. Tyler Steen has checked the boxes in the early goings of this. Yeah, there's still a long road ahead and all that, but knowing that he is playing at such a high level, that he is doing the things that Jeff Stoutland told him, hey, you need to be doing this, and now he's finally doing it. Not he wasn't defiant and or disrespectful or anything like that. It's just a matter of, I know I have to do this, I just can't do it yet, and now he can do it. I don't know why I move my hands like that. He's not doing martial arts, but you get what I'm saying. So yeah, I'm not as concerned. Tim, what's going on? It is rough. We lost Becton. We still have Stoutland as the O-line coach. Barkley will still pound the rock. However, I believe Hurts will be throwing more this year. Hurts needs to throw more this year. Again, I don't need Jalen Hurts to have 4,000 yards passing. Like, I don't need those numbers. I don't need 35 touchdown passes. I mean, I would love for him to have that some point in his career, but right now, hey, man, just don't turn the football over. He answered all the questions he needed to answer last year about whether or not he could be the guy. He is the guy, right? He is the guy. So just seeing him take a little bit more responsibility with the passing, or have the passing game take more responsibility for this offense. And look, the other part of this, well, twofold. One, teams are going to be looking at the Eagles. And as Jalen Hurts said in minicamp, they're going to have to pick their poison between stopping Saquon or stopping him throwing the football. So I think a lot of teams are going to try to stop Saquon Barkley. And because that is the most dominant thing, like historically speaking, it's the most dominant thing in the NFL. Like, of the most dominant things you could talk about in the NFL, you're definitely talking about Saquon Barkley behind this offensive line. I've mentioned it many times. Barry Sanders behind the Cowboys offensive line. What if that was the case? Blah, blah. That's the question I grew up with, right? Well, this is that question, but it's playing out. You're seeing how it could happen. Closest thing to it, I'll say that. So 482 touches in a season, including playoffs, that's a lot of a workload there for anybody. So it'd be nice if offense builds you a big lead in the first half, and second half, A.J. Dillon is running the football. Will Shipley's getting run, that kind of thing. That'd be nice. That would be the dream scenario, I think. So yes, thanks everybody in the chat. You guys are great as per usual. Let's get to the morning rush. Brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Phillies right back at it tonight. 6:45 start time in South Philadelphia as they do start that 3-game series with the O's, hon. So get your natty bows ready, people in Dundalk. K. Povich gets the start against Jesus Luzardo, a lefty-lefty matchup. Povich 2-5 on the season with a 5.15 ERA. He is coming off a 3 2/3 inning performance, allowing just 3 hits against the Angels. He also faced the Tigers and got rocked. 5 runs, gave up a home run, all earned, 9 hits, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, 4 2/3. As for Jesus Luzardo, 9-5 on the season with a 4.31 ERA. He is coming off look, I said that he didn't have his best stuff, but his line was great. He didn't have his best stuff against the White Sox, but his line was great. 7 scoreless, 2 hits, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. Again, not his best stuff, but a great line. Now I'd like to see the best stuff and the great line. Give me both those things. It's only the Orioles. Let's hope that works out well there for the Phillies. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Excuse me. Make sure you guys hit like and subscribe on the Farzi Show YouTube channel. Make sure you guys hit like and subscribe on the Jacob Media YouTube channel. And then when you're done doing that, make sure you guys hit like and subscribe on the Locked On 76ers YouTube channel. Me and Keith Pompey, 5 days a week, breaking it all down when it comes to your Philadelphia 76ers. A lot of interesting stuff from Tyrese Maxey that I want to get into today with Keith. He wrote a great piece on it. Maxey addressed the media at a camp he was hosting. It was great. And then also Locked On Eagles YouTube channel as well. Jason Martinez, Harry Mays, Louis DiBiase, me. We got you covered for an hour twice a week, Tuesday and Thursday, breaking down all things Eagles. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Make sure you guys hit like and subscribe on the on the Farzy Show YouTube channel. I will catch you guys tomorrow.
That's pretty dope.
There we go. See you guys tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. And yeah, I'll also see you throughout the day.